Catch a bong side. Them a go no. Good thing them. The good thing them. The good thing them. The good thing. When we do road, me a feel. When we
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joel Reid, a journalism major of the University of the West Indies. And tonight we'll be conducting a discussion for a group project that I'm doing that is a group project for the course Communication, Culture, and Caribbean Society. That's the study of communication and its role in the Caribbean society. The name of the project is the Caribbean Networking Project, and it entails us to, discuss with representatives or natives of other Caribbean countries to, discuss some of the major issues in their countries and whatnot. Tonight we have a representative from Dominica, that is Sydney John. Sydney, could you just come in and introduce yourself?
Hi, as Joel said, my name is Sydney John. I am from Dominica. I am currently a second year mathematics major at UE, and I'm here to speak about, as Joel said, Dominica in the context of the project. It's a nice place with light-hearted people. I encourage you to visit one day.
Right. Okay. So there we have there we have the introduction, right? So practically an overview of what we'll be discussing tonight. We'll be talking about some things that are going on in Dominica. Those are like the major challenges of the country, the role of media and communication in the country, Sydney's view on Caribbean unity. That's something that we speak about a lot in this course, and his view on culture and its impacts on development. So first things first, Sydney, could you just give like a little 30 seconds overview of Dominica? How do you see Dominica? What does being Dominican mean to you?
Okay, well, Dominican society is a typical small island society where most people know each other. Well, not most, but you know or have an indirect connection with the majority of the population. Um, there's a lot to see, but although we are the largest island in the Lesser Antilles, we have one of the smallest populations. So that should give you an idea as to what it's like. But like most other Caribbean people, we love social media and we love having fun generally.
Right. And for a very large island with not much people, I would peradventure that media does play a critical role. Could you just give us like what you think the impacts of media in Dominica are on the people, on the awareness of the people, linking to like their culture, like the overall impacts of media in Dominica and
Okay,
communication?
well, in terms of media, the most, or rather the go-to sources would be radio and I would say online. TV news is not so popular or common as it may be in other countries. And I think Hurricane Maria a few years ago had a part to play with that because people did not have electricity or TV for a while. So we got used to using radios. So reliance on TV news is much lower than it would have been about 4 years ago. Um, well, as I said, if people want to get a message across, communicate with the population, the go-to way would be to do it online or through one of the radio stations on island.
Mm. What would you say is the most popular or some of the most popular radio stations that they have in Dominica? Because I'm not sure. I don't know any of them really.
The three main ones would be the DBS, that's Dominica Broadcasting Station, it's government owned, and two private stations, Kyrie FM and Q95 FM.
Kyrie FM?
Yes.
Oh, we have an Irie FM here in Jamaica. Right. So what would you say like are some of the major challenges facing Dominica, especially like right now in this time of this pandemic unique to Dominica? What are some of the major challenges being faced there?
Well, COVID is one of them, but we know in these times it's a given. But I think one of the major challenges that we face would be our susceptibility to natural disasters,
Mm.
hurricanes specifically.
Right? And we know the Caribbean, we would have learned in high school or whatnot that the Caribbean is indeed susceptible to natural disasters, mostly hurricanes. But going forward, how do you believe that we or your country could be more aware or prepared for hurricanes and facing those natural disasters?
Well, I mentioned Hurricane Maria earlier, a few minutes ago. It hit us in 2017. It was a Category 5 hurricane. And since then, the people and the government have started putting things in place to not avoid it, because you cannot avoid it, but to be able to sustain those hurricanes and to recover quickly. So whenever we're expecting a storm or something of that nature, there's a procedure in place where they put things like heavy equipment in different places and so on. And the information gets out to the population rather quickly that we are, or we would be expecting some sort of adverse weather effects.
Right. And we know that these things, you want to really um make them better. You want to really get them out of the way because I was interviewing some other Dominican people, and this particular girl, I won't mention her name, she was saying that she and her family, they had to move to what's it, Martinique in
Mhm.
2017 because of the adverse effects of Hurricane Maria on the country. So that even that shift from an English speaking to a French speaking, I mean, I can imagine how challenging that must have been, right?
Well, in
So
that case, we speak, in addition to English, we speak French Creole. So that's
that's good,
probably why she would have moved to a French-speaking country. It would be more
right? And do
familiar.
do, do you know French Creole? You speak it too, right?
Yes,
Fluently.
yes, yes.
How do you say, my name is Sydney John, I am a student of the University of the West Indies?
Ah, I haven't spoken it in a while, but I can say my name.
Or
Nomwe.
something simple,
Okay.
something simple.
Nomwe say Sydney John, and mwe. I don't know what to say. You choking me up. I didn't expect that.
All
Even
right,
even
yeah,
without the change of language, just saying something about myself off my head
yeah.
is a bit challenging. But yeah.
Right. So shifting the conversation a bit now, we're looking at culture, and as the course is it speaks about culture a lot, right? So I want to know your particular views on Dominica's culture, the effects of culture on the people, on the rest of the Caribbean, on the rest of the world, the negatives of how culture is seen, the positives, just a general overview from your perspective.
Okay. Well, culture has a big part to play in Dominica. We embrace it, and we use it as as a way to market our country for tourism. You'll see the more traditional aspects of our culture during the Independence season, which our Independence Day is November 3rd. So late September, October, early November, you'll see those things like Creole folk music, folk dance, and so on. People embrace it, and it's a time of year that people look forward to, as well as Carnival in February or early March. And that's another aspect of our culture that is showcased yearly, and people look forward to it.
Right. So I mean, it's generally something that people look forward to, both
Yes.
Dominicans and even other people from the Caribbean, right? Because I was reading up something on that for real. I mean, but unique to you, what is like what part of the Dominican culture makes you feel proud to be Dominican? The part that that unique part that you embrace. What
Mhm.
part of that?
I think it's somewhat difficult to put into words, because it's like a feeling. So if I ask you what it means to be Jamaican, you know what it feels like, but to put it into
Yeah,
words,
that's true.
so
That's
it's
true.
I think you see it the most when you go to other countries and you see that they are much different from what it's like in your home country. So day-to-day life and the way people speak. I had a hard time understanding Jamaicans when I first came, and they had a hard time understanding me as well. So it's something that you learn to appreciate when you see it or you see the differences. Putting it into words is maybe not the easiest, but like our tourism board has a saying, "I am Dominica, are you?" It's the free spirited. Dominicans are very free spirited. We love
Yeah,
adventure. We love having fun,
yeah,
going out with friends and so on. So
right.
it's a family, not
Yeah,
necessarily family, but somewhat
yeah,
of a sense of
understand.
togetherness. Yeah.
Yeah, close knitted. Yeah. Um, so I was interested in a part of your culture, right? Doing some research on Dominica, I was trying to find out, like, the major genre of music listened to there.
Hmm.
Where like, or a popular genre. In Jamaica, a lot of people know Jamaica for reggae, and a lot of people know Bob Marley and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But in Dominica, I heard there was a genre of music that are unique to Dominicans that they actually made up. But tell me, what's the unique genre of music, or what's the music that people gravitate to more, or stuff like
Hmm.
that?
Okay, so it's booyah music. That's the name of the genre. Say it
Could you
out.
repeat that?
Booyah music. So what? The
Yeah,
name
yeah,
the name. So or the word booyah in Creole means like almost like a soup where you put everything in, and
mm,
like when you yeah, like a soup, a chicken soup. You put all your
yeah,
ingredients in and you mix everything and you
yeah,
come out with the end product and it's like a combination of all the tastes of what you put in.
yeah.
So it's like a mashup of different genres of music,
Mm.
and it brings in aspects from outside influences, some dancehall songs. That's the newer school where they bring in outside influences and make it into their own. So they might take a song of from Dexter Daps and turn it into a Booyah song, things like that.
Whoa,
Buju Banton, same thing. So
right.
it's like a mashup. It's a jumpy beat, and that's what you find at most parties and carnival and so on.
Right. So if I'm in Dominica, right,
Mhm.
and I hear a certain song playing, I can definitely pinpoint and say that's Booyah music
You will,
or
yes, you will know.
right.
You know that song of Machel Montano, Family.
I think
You've heard it.
so. You want to
That's
sing piece? You want to
I
sing piece?
I
So
I cannot sing it, but most people would know that song. That's the
yeah.
closest example I can use.
So
It's a mashup of Booyah and soca, but
but yeah,
the music itself is heavily influenced by Booyah music.
right.
Mhm.
So like a trending artist maybe, or like your favorite artist, or someone who you look up to in the Booyah industry, or who would that be for you right
You
now?
didn't do so bad at pronouncing it.
Booyah.
Yes.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm trying.
Most people, although he might be more popular in the French-speaking islands, Asa Banton.
Who is he?
Asa Banton.
Mm.
Yeah,
And you have like a favorite song,
I like
a
all of them.
Booyah song, a favorite Booyah song, or
I like
anything
all
like
of
that?
them. All.
Oh, they all have that vibe, right?
Yeah.
I can imagine. All right. So a question that would seem to cut out all that we're talking about with culture, or kind of jump in front of that. Do you believe the Caribbean in general is, unified? Do you
No,
believe that we're unified?
no.
Why not? Why
It,
would you say that?
it might be a harsh reality, but in my opinion, CARICOM is a failed experiment.
Mm,
Um, I think the countries are unwilling to give up some of the their sovereignty.
Yeah.
As you would have seen in the European Union, a lot the countries had to give up a lot of their sovereignty, like using a common currency and so on, in order to
Yeah.
maintain the union. And I think the countries in CARICOM are not willing to do that, and it's a failed experiment. So in my case,
That's true.
we speak about CARICOM, single market and economy, and I had to get a student visa to come to Jamaica, and I have a CARICOM passport.
Yeah. That's true.
So it's small
That's
things
true.
like that that
That's
that
true.
would make people feel like that.
Yeah, it severely impacts it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right, my question to you now. This question was posed in class one day when we were discussing, the unification of the Caribbean in general and how closely knitted we are. So the lecturer would have asked us, if we were willing to give up, or if we would give up being Jamaican for being Caribbean, or would you give up being Dominican for being Caribbean? And I mean, there were a lot of fusses in the class because saying that would be saying you wouldn't say Usain Bolt comes from Jamaica, Usain Bolt come from the Caribbean,
Yeah.
or your music wouldn't be unique to Dominica. I mean, yeah, it would be made there and come from there, but it's something that is noticed by the rest of the world as it's Caribbean. It's just a Caribbean genre. Would you give up being Dominican for being Caribbean?
No.
You wouldn't.
And visiting different Caribbean islands, you'll see the problem. Although people on the outside will look at the Caribbean as being a pretty uniform place where all the cultures are the same. Going to different islands, you'll see how different they are from each other.
That's true.
They're very similar, yes, but they are also very different, and that is the main problem.
Right. Yeah, because I know we have a similar history, and certain of our practices are the same, our socio-cultural backgrounds are the same as well. But we're not alike, and it will be hard, but still, you mentioned earlier that coming down to the closing of the year, September, October, November, somewhere
Mhm.
there, there are a lot of festivals that
Yeah.
are kept. But apart from that part of the year, how do people see culture like for the rest of the year, or how is culture embraced in Dominica for the rest of the year? And what kind of culture,
Yeah.
or to what
So
extent?
in as I told you earlier, during the independence season, you'll see a lot more of the like folk dances and tales and songs and so on, and even embracing the Creole language more. But around carnival time, you get a different flavor. You hear calypsos, you hear a different type of music. The festivals are different and so on. So it varies. So you start at one time of year with maybe one area, and then you move to summer. You have a whole set of nighttime parties during the summer, and then you move
Mm.
closer to independence where you have the more traditional aspects. So I think it you won't get bored. That's for sure. It
Yeah, true.
it doesn't stay the same all year round. It's dynamic.
Right. That, which is good, and which would lead to my next question. We know that the Caribbean might not be a country that is making like the biggest inventories or the biggest inventions, or making the world's fastest car, or probably a flying car or whatever. We're more known for what we can do, culture, arts, sports, stuff like that. How do you believe our culture and embracing our culture helps us to become more developed, or how does it help Dominica to become more developed?
Okay, so as I think I mentioned at the start, we brand our culture and use it as something to draw people. So like in Trinidad, you'll find a lot of people go to Trinidad for carnival. Um, so that's just one example. You can, or I think we can brand our culture and our cultural activities in a way that will draw people to the countries. I think what we have to offer, or our most promising industry, or one of them would be tourism. And I believe that that's one way. In Dominica, there's a focus on ecotourism because most of the country is uninhabited. There's a lot of natural sites to visit, and believe me, a lot. And that's some of what is put out there as, or that's what Dominica is marketed as, a nature destination, an ecotourism destination.
Right. And I mean, that's why, right. So I want you to give me one main reason why you would want people to come to Dominica, apart from like coming for a festival or coming to go to a place. One thing that has stuck with you or stick with you, one thing that they can come to Dominica and they probably won't feel it anywhere else. Something that if they come to Dominica for this thing, they probably, they probably will leave feeling somewhat enriched, encouraged, I don't know, something that will stick with them. Something morally
the atmosphere and the way people interact with each other and so on. That's something you don't see everywhere. Especially in more developed countries, everybody's more or less to themselves. They care about themselves and nothing else. I mean, like anywhere else, conflicts will arise. But I think at the end of the day, the atmosphere is what keeps people here when they come to visit.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So, I mean, there you have it, guys. Sydney John explaining, about his country, Dominica, a country that I personally hope to go because I know you don't have to go there for booyah music, the booyah music, but definitely I would love to visit the festivals. But I want to say, thank you for being here, being a part of this interview, being a part of this discussion. We should do this again sometime, probably discussing some other aspect of Dominica. Again, thank you for making it here, and best regards, best wishes.
Good thing them. The good thing them. The good thing them. The good thing when we do road.